one thing that most people don't understand about pest control is all about relationships. That's what Sprague is about. We're about relationships. It's working with our customers to help find solutions to issues they're having and doing it in a respectful way and in a way that gets them what they need, but in an efficient way. And it's a very creative enterprise. Each person looks at these problems differently and they find unique and different ways to solve an issue. It's not as simple as just spraying something. You need to go and find the source, figure out what's going on. And then how do you capture that in accounting numbers?
This episode of the Cloud Accounting Podcast was recorded at the Sage Transform Conference in October of 2022. Because it's a little shorter than our usual episodes, this episode does not qualify for free CPE on the Earmark app. However, it's a great interview. I hope you listen, and I hope you enjoy.
So you are a CPA?
I'm a CPA, yes.
Okay. CPA, so you did some college bookstores, and then you got into pest management.
20 plus years at the bookstore at the University of Montana.
Okay. Oh, I see that. Yeah, 15 years.
And then moved back to the Tacoma area to be closer to family and found this great opportunity with Sprague Pest Solutions and started as their accounting manager and was recently promoted to their assistant controller.
So tell us about Sprague. Is it Sprague Pest Solutions?
Well, are we starting?
Yeah, we're already started.
Oh.
Yeah. This is it.
Amateur hour here. I didn't realize
we can do an official start if you want.
We can edit that in.
Yeah.
We'll just do the official start now and then
edit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to edit it. We'll just do it from right here.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll do this whole thing in. Welcome to the Cloud Accounting Podcast. I'm David Leary.
I'm Blake Oliver.
And again, we are live at Sage Transform in
Orlando. Beautiful Orlando.
I don't know if I wanted to say sunny. I checked over my shoulder.
It's a little bit cloudy today.
And we now have a customer.
We're talking to a Sage Intact customer.
Which is our favorite interviews, I think.
Our Intact customer is Matthew Woodcock of Sprague Pest Solutions. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Do you prefer Matt?
I go with whichever.
Matthew. We'll save some airtime. We'll say Matt. Tell us a little bit about Sprague Pest Solutions.
Sprague Pest Solutions is a family-owned business since 1926. We're about to celebrate our 100th year in a few years. We started off as a small organization in Tacoma and have grown into 19 locations over the western United States. And we do strictly commercial pest control.
And are these franchises or these?
Nope. All managed out of our home or corporate office in Tacoma, and then locally managed as well by our branch managers in each of these locations.
And then they're all employees in each state where we have to. Got it. Okay.
19 locations. And how long have you been with the company?
I got started in 2017, so 5 years now.
5 years.
I celebrated my 5th year. Got my 5th 5-year jacket. We all get something special every 5 years, and so, yep.
And what's your role?
I'm the assistant controller with the company.
Okay. Assistant controller, so your duties encompass, you must be closing the books, right? Overseeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, helping to manage a team that oversees the day-to-day accounting needs as well as closing the books for Sprague. And we also have many LLCs that are part of the team as well, so managing all those. So it was one of the things that attracted us to Sage.
Are your 19 locations franchises? Are they corporate owned?
Corporate owned.
Corporate owned. Okay, so you're consolidating up 19 different locations into a single ledger?
Yeah, we track each of our branches on their own to check profitability, and that's presented in a consolidated income statement. And then, as I mentioned, we have a lot of LLCs that are used to have different owners for some of our locations, kind of real estate versions, or not real estate. Yeah, real estate. So we're using the multi-entity approach with Sage with lots of zeal. It's helping us combine things so much. We were using QuickBooks before that and Dynamics for the Sprague part. It was very difficult to consolidate.
So you're using 2 different GLs?
We use one GL now for everyone.
But before you had 2 GLs or multiple GLs, and then not just separate GLs, GL applications, accounting software packages.
So were you part of the transition?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so and it was Dynamics for the main corporate entity, and then you had QuickBooks for the other. Got it. So tell us about how you discovered Intact. Like, did you know them already? Did you go out and find them?
During the pandemic, we got a new controller, Allison, and she helped lead us through kind of a discovery process to see what operations were out there or other options were out there, including upgrading Dynamics to D365. There was Sage, and to be honest, I can't remember some of the other ones off the top of my head. We went through demonstrations and got to talk to some of the companies using this, and decided that Sage was a good option, a good solution for us.
How'd you decide? And why'd you pick it?
We looked at it, first we wanted something that was cloud-based. Having entered into the pandemic, our previous solution was hosted, so it made it difficult for a lot of us to work from home and get things done. And then with 19 locations, we wanted to be able to get this information out to people in an accessible and easy way where they could access it as well. So we're growing towards that. So cloud computing was one big part. The multi-entity approach was really important to us, where we could have all these different companies represented and be able to consolidate, do reporting. And then it had a lot of good ability to tie in different programs from different parts of our company. We're still working on getting all that on board, but it's showing a lot more hope and promise than it did with our previous ERP.
So obviously it was in the pandemic. Most people were like, hey, we're going to take on baking. And you're like, we're going to roll out Intact. And so like, what is that process like? Is it quick? Do you do modules at a time? Like how are you rolling this out? Because it's fairly new right now. I mean,
yeah, we're just finishing our first full year on Sage. It was a process because you're trying to bring over the historical data. We started with the GL and the AP; those were the main focuses, and it was trying to determine what was important to bring over. We need detail on what we didn't. We went live July 1st, but I'm not sure all the data was actually in until probably August or September. Because of the different parts of the modules, it took some time to, because you bring in your fixed assets, you have to bring in we have lots of vehicles out there, you have to get all that information in.
So to touch on something you kind of said, it's not what we want to bring over. Like when you roll this out, is this an opportunity for you to reinvent how you do things at your organization? Like you're not just changing your software, you're changing the way your team works and processes?
Maybe not quite that revolutionary, but it certainly gives you an opportunity to confirm what is important. What's the important data points you want to bring over? Because really, if you're going to use ERP, you want lots of data. You want a lot of data points because you want to be able to create some fantastic reports that are interactive and use all these pieces than just what's coming out of QuickBooks. So it's deciding, do we need every line item of every account, or do we need a summary? Do we need everything from every one of the entities, or does some of this stuff just need to be summarized? We do from the Sprague Pest, from the operating company, we want a lot of data from there because we're trying to analyze the efficiencies and profitabilities. So it's kind of analyzing that aspect. It did certainly give us an opportunity to talk about what our processes were and what made sense for something as simple as, do we want to keep having paper invoices, or do we want to go digital? Do we want to scan everything that's coming in? Do we want to be printing checks anymore? Do we want to push more towards ACH and credit card options? What are some other ways to increase efficiencies there?
So when you talk about these, the details, or the level of reporting, or the output, right? Mm-hmm. The reporting that you get out of it, is this like a call your team's making, or do you go out to managers in your company and what do you need from the accounting department and the accounting system and make decisions that way? Like, what's that?
I think it's both. I mean, our team grew during this pandemic and through this process. Our accounting team now has, is there 7 of us? 7 of us now. We started with 4, maybe. And trying to get during a pandemic, a lot of people have time to really sit and evaluate what's going on, what's working, what's not working. And our senior management team had a lot of questions that were sometimes difficult to answer because we didn't have all the data. So that was one of the launching points we started with. We worked internally within our team to figure out what kind of information we wanted to gather and report on. And also with our external teams, both the branch managers, regional managers, as well as our senior leadership teams. Everyone wants data, everyone wants reports, but they want it in a way that makes sense to them. Some people love looking at things line by line. Some people just want a quick dashboard review.
What's an example of data that you can now provide with Intact that you couldn't do before? Like a request maybe from an executive or a manager, like that they're really happy to be able to see.
Right, we were able to give more concise, kind of a cash position report or a projection report, because we know what's going on with all the companies, what we're doing, what's needed from a AP perspective.
So cash across all the different entities, like just a number?
It's able to summarize it into a more readable form. Part of the challenge is and Dave mentioned this earlier, you don't just bring on an ERP all at once. It's going to take different modules. So we're just getting some of the modules up and going. So we're still bringing purchasing on. We've got fixed assets on there now. Budget and planning, we're trying to incorporate that as well. So it's taking some time to make sure each of these are done the way we want them and they're talking to each other. And the biggest hurdle we've got right now is trying to get our system that's out in the field, our field operating system, to visit with Sage. And so we're getting close to that, but that still takes time.
What's your field operating system? Is it something you had in-house?
It's an industry one called PestPack, done by WorkWave.
Okay.
So, and that one's really important because it works on all our handhelds that our 200 plus route managers have out in the field. And so that data we want that to get flowing into Sage. We're not quite there yet, but we'll get there.
And is that a custom integration you're building, or is that something they support?
A little bit of both. We're working with one of the consultants, Sockeye, but it's mostly our IT team is working through it. We have a really good IT team that's gone through and understands PestPack and is now learning Sage very well. And so they're just trying to get the two to talk to each other.
What else is in your tech stack? What other apps are you guys using in part of accounting and finance?
Well, there's a payroll system. We're currently using Paylocity, and so we were trying to get that also to work with Sage. That's, I think, our IT team's going to tackle next after they get PestPack integrated with it. And then it's time to reevaluate and see what other things we want to add. That's partly why I'm here at this conference, is to see what's coming down the pike, see what other exciting things, because we're trying to deal with what we know, but what you learn here is what you don't know. There's so many opportunities and exciting things coming down the pike. So it's like, oh, maybe we want to do this now, or maybe we need to pivot and start doing that now. So
anything in the expo hall catch your eye?
Not yet. I'm still trying to catch up after the keynote stuff. I was taking a lot of good notes on that one.
Yeah, there were a lot of improvements or a lot of new features in Sage. Anything that, like, what was your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I like the whole idea of being able to email invoices to each of our entities and have them be pulled in from our AP person. I know Candace, our AP person, would love that. And what else do they talk about? Yeah, I wrote down the notes, but yeah, that's why they're in notes, because they're not in my head right now.
What's something that we don't know about pest control or pest, like what's something interesting you guys do, or there's like, this because you're in the accounting department of a pest control company that like nobody knows.
Well,
It's
actually,
like, by
one
the
thing
way,
that-
we have to count for something this special way, like gallons or I don't know.
Oh boy, you want one of those.
Oh.
I was going to say that one thing that most people don't understand about pest control is all about relationships. That's what Sprague is about. We're about relationships. It's working with our customers to help find solutions to issues they're having, and doing it in a respectful way and in a way that gets them what they need, but in an efficient way. And it's a very creative enterprise. Each person looks at these problems differently, and they find unique and different ways to solve an issue. It's not as simple as just spraying something. You need to go and find the source, figure out what's going on. And then how do you capture that in accounting numbers? How do you show your efficiency? How do you show that? Because our route managers are getting all these tools to do, but they don't necessarily use that whole tool on that job. So how do you do some job costing on that and figure out if that route is really making money?
So are the customers on like a subscription model? They just pay you every month, you service them, or is it one-off custom jobs? Both. Okay.
And you said it's all commercial, right?
That's correct. We focus mostly on commercial. We do commercial pest control, fumigations, bird control.
Did you say birth control?
Bird.
Oh, bird control.
We have not started in birth control, and I hope we don't. That's outside my expertise.
I mean, maybe the chemicals could do that, but
well,
yeah,
that's
probably
true.
not. Probably not FDA approved.
Some of my technical team would be yelling at me right now, saying, "No, didn't you listen in this class?"
Bird control. You got it.
It's funny, I'm looking at your website, and it's very similar to a lot of accounting firm websites. You have your industries menu, and it's agriculture, commercial property, education, food processing, retail, healthcare, hotels, resorts. It's restaurants. It's very similar. And then you have the services you provide, and you provide risk assessments, consulting, audited facilities. Like it's in a weird way. Like there's probably a lot of overlap of an accounting firm.
It's a service industry.
It's a different kind of, yeah.
We're a service industry. I mean, that's what accountants are. We're a service industry. So it is. You're right. That's a great similarity. I hadn't thought about it in that aspect, but now I'm going to go back and start looking at that. Bring that and PwC up and see how much we're like.
So, what is your cost of goods in pest control? Obviously, the chemicals.
Chemicals are a small part of it. It's labor. It's people, because they're out doing the jobs. They're out providing the service that is so important to our customers, and that's the biggest one. I would say probably I should know these numbers, and Allison's going to yell at me about not knowing these numbers, but no.
That's right. You can make up numbers. We don't know. Roughly.
I mean, the products are a small part. They're a small part, but they're not the big part. The big part is the labor, trying to manage the labor. And that's where efficiencies are so important, because you're trying to I guess the other big one right now is fuel. I mean, we have all these vehicles going out there, and fuel costs this year have gone up because of obvious reasons. And how do you manage that? Back to trying to find route efficiencies and ways to only do a job once, not having to go back out and do it a couple times because maybe it didn't work the first time, or improving it. So
I should see where that makes a big difference. Wrap it up.
Yeah. Matt, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your story and insights. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for doing this.
Where is Sprague Pest Control located?
Home office is in Tacoma, Washington, and then we're in all the Western United States, from Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, and we do some services in Montana and Wyoming as well. So.
Okay. So if one of our listeners owns an accounting firm and wants to get pest control for their office, where should they go?
Go to spraguepest.com. Is that correct? You were looking at the website?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, please go to spraguepest.com and or call our number 253-272-4400, and one of our people will be happy to help you.
That's great. You still have people to answer the phones.
Oh, you know it. That's part of being
And there's a client you could go get. So I landed, I was getting my luggage at the Orlando airport here, and cockroaches are around on the carpet. So there's a client you could possibly
We're not
get.
in Florida yet.
Turn this into a business
We're
trip.
not in Florida yet,
Yeah.
but you're right. I'll have to go check it out.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.